this time on Derailed, I'm Vince. I'm here with Ben and Rob, and we're going to talk about handhelds and online distribution. Sony confirmed that digital Vita games are going to cost about 10% less than physical copies. What do you think about that, Rob?
I think doesn't mean much when they already cost 50% more than they should. And maybe it's contextual, but like I woke up this morning and I picked up Ace Attorney for my phone for $5. Which,
wow.
Granted, that's a Nintendo platform, but I would have been paying, what, $30 for that on the actual, like, DS. I can get Ghost Trick for $10.
I'm sensing that you want to resolve the thing that you guys had with the handhelds discussion.
I mean, you can lead a horse to a PS Vita, but you can't make him play it.
And you've pre-ordered a Vita.
Yeah, absolutely. I got it from Newegg. It's going to be here in less than a month. I'm excited. It's going to be awesome.
Do you plan to download all your Vita games now?
I plan to download most of my Vita games, yeah. And not just because of the price decrease, which seems really logical.
10% adds up.
It does add up, and I'm glad to see it. I agree that it's not quite enough. I think that downloading games should be cheaper, especially they should follow this kind of like App Store market where more expensive games are more highly developed, and you've got your cheaper games.
There does seem to be a bit of a range.
Right.
More,
I like that.
Much more so than with the disc games.
Right. And that does reflect like modern game purchasing.
And tastes.
And to talk about games that you buy on your phone for $5 that are like 2 years old already, and they don't even go on the most modern handheld system. They are for like the Nintendo DS, which is how many years old now? It's a little bit different. And I could 5 years from now be like, well, I got Golden Abyss for $10. That's how much it should always cost. Well, it's 10 years old, so of course it's going to be cheaper.
Here's an issue that I didn't hear raised. Are you under the assumption that the digital version of the game is going to be available the same day as the hard copy version?
I believe that's the case.
Sooner, because I don't have to go to the store. I can just download it immediately.
Because, I mean, looking back to the PSP Go, that was an issue where that wasn't always the case.
Do you think they've learned a lesson from that, though?
I don't think Sony learns their lesson very often.
Yeah, okay. I do admit that Sony isn't always the most logical when it comes to making decisions regarding the benefit of their consumers, and sometimes they are a little too proprietary, and they've got dollar signs in their eyes, and that can hurt them.
I don't know. I think it's a great move. I think, and the idea of making them cheaper is definitely logical. I just don't think it's enough to really make a big difference at this point.
Well, let's talk about Steam for a second, because that is a platform that I think really nails digital distribution. They send out code early, you unlock it, midnight day of release. I was playing Skyrim while this guy was waiting in line for it. And they also have, because they're more flexible with their pricing, they can react really quickly to the actual market conditions. Certain games go on sale like 3 to 6 months after release. I remember I picked up, I think it was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I picked up for about $20 on sale. Not 6 months after its release, and that
like games going on sale on Steam is great, and it does add to its like value as a platform. But that's not, if all the games were always the same price forever, Steam would still be light years ahead of most digital distribution networks for games. It's just the fact that they make it so easy. They make me feel so like at ease and comfortable with the fact that if anything goes wrong, I've still got my games. The games exist and are mine. I can move them around. I can put them places. I can back them up. If I ever run out of hard disk space, I can put them on another hard disk and be like, I'll play those in 10 years.
So you prefer your Vita games digital so you can get them from PSN again?
I like the idea of my games being digital, but I don't like the idea that after I've downloaded them, there's still all these restrictions about where I can put them, where I can back them up. Like, if I have to get rid of them for the sake of space, am I going to have to download them again?
Well, it makes total sense. I mean, the PSP's huge problem was how easy it was to pirate. There's no way they're not going to lock that down.
Well, look at Steam. I mean, I think Steam's highest, its strongest combat against piracy is the ease of use. I think it's
Steam's DRM is Steam. Like, it does have DRM.
Yeah.
You have to be connected, and they alter some executable files, so that's harder to pirate.
And they do give it value of like, well, I want to play this game on Steam. I could pirate it and play it independently, but I want to pay and play it on Steam because there's value there. There's a community. That's like true combat to piracy.
And it lets you, the consumer, decide how much you want to pay for what games at what point. Like, I don't want that game at that price, but if it gets to here, I'm in. And that level of price segmentation helps you capture more of the market. And they've seen year after year growth.
Like, I don't go on the PlayStation Network and check sales and be like, ooh, what am I going to buy? Like, I never go on PlayStation Network without already having in my head knowing what I want. Whereas I'll go on Steam and be like, do what's on sale today. And I'll make up my mind right then and there to buy this game that maybe I've never even heard of, but looks kind of cool, but hey, it's $5, so why not? Like, that kind of...
But what's the difference? Like, they're essentially the same thing.
I think that just the marketplace is better on Steam. It's more easily navigated.
It's the design.
Yeah, it's more fun, and there's a community on there to go on. Maybe that's what PSN is going for, and they want that. I hope that's what they're going for.
It's a good step, regardless. Like,
yeah.
You know, they could have just totally ignored it. Like, I'm sure. Like, I don't think Nintendo's been doing a good job with it, and so, I mean, relative to each other, I think Sony's doing great with that. I just think at the end of the day, it's still going to boil down to this issue of the value of these games.
One thing I'm hearing from both of you sort of is that games should, their price should reflect the value that they kind of give you. One thing that came up with was Rayman Origins. That game saw a precipitous drop like 2 months after release down to $20 from $60 and still only sold less than 1 million copies. Do you think games cost too much? That's a stupid question. Of course they cost too much, but...
but what if you went to a sandwich shop and every sandwich costs like a flat rate?
Like $5,
I want a grilled cheese.
For a foot-long sandwich?
Yeah, what sandwich shop could that be? But if you go to any other marketplace, you're going to have a variation of prices based on quality of what you're getting, what you're purchasing. Like in the App Store.
Before you go there, though, are you willing to pay $80 for Skyrim? Because don't think that like 60 is the ceiling and then just shorter games will get cheaper. If they're going to adopt a market like concept like that, it's going to be that 60 is the middle ground and then more content is going to cost more. Because why would they turn down more money if they're going to justify? Well, yeah, we'll give you
the marketplace will always reflect what people are willing to pay.
Don't tell them that.
It's a free market system. It's what people are willing to pay. If people are willing to pay $80 for a really high-end game,
are you willing to do that?
For something like Skyrim, where the content is just through the roof,
hundreds of hours.
There's this idea of elasticity. Elasticity is describing like how the market reacts to price changes. If they can get more overall money by selling more copies at a lower price or fewer copies at a higher price, the company is going to be aiming for the most overall total money, not price points necessarily.
Mm-hmm. So let me connect these things.
Okay.
If you're willing to pay more for more content, then what do you have against a concept of here's the disc, you pay this much for this content, and if you want a little more content like bonus missions, you get that online.
That's not what we're talking about.
But
you're
paying more money for more content.
I will do that in the form of sequels. I will do that in the form. I don't like the idea of a huge portion, a large portion of a game development. Like we are going to make video game A, but a large portion of that video game A will be in producing all this extra stuff that you don't get when you buy video game. It'll be that extra stuff that you have to pay more for.
Now it's more like we're going to produce this game, we're going to get this team to produce this game, and we're also going to get this team to produce DLC for it that we're going to sell later, and this content later. Like
I won't make a gross broad generalization and say that it can't be done correctly. I'm sure that it can be done to the point where it's like I'm paying for more and I'm getting more. But I'm worried that that's not the case. That these dollar signs and people wanting to make more money, like you say, is to just like, well, why would I sell you one game when I can sell you 2 games? And all you're doing is making part 1, part 2.
We'll check back in with you when
StarCraft.
We'll check back in with you when your Vita arrives. Let us know if you're getting a Vita, and let us know what you think about these guys' ideas about digital distribution and physical media. We'll see you next time.